It is currently,
as you can see, Saturday, May 10, 2025. It's 4:41 p.m. This is video documentation captured based on gang stalking committed by AVANATH Capital Management, and this is documentation which is speaking to the federal imprisonment by necessity, by requirement of justice of AVANATH's employees and the gang stalkers whom it is targeting an occupant at its property in concert with. That are the demons and physical positions surrounding in units 33 through 64, where inside of the apartment engineer light is dynamic. This is the stationary engineer light that's in the same position that it was this morning. So let me show you that. First of all, that's impulsible audible activity where I'm showing different angles of engineer light shooting inside of the apartment, and you can see the engineer light framing the front door at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. None of this has anything to do with sunlight. The light that is surrounding inside of this apartment is pursuant to gang stalking that AVANATH Capital Management is engaging in with its residents and with its employees. And AVANATH is doing so with the government, ultimately in concert with the civilian population, while AVANATH is profiting from it. This is the same engineer light around the front door this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. The entity is maintaining this engineer light pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. This is the engineer light at 7:19 in the morning, and this is 9 minutes after the video you see above is captured at 7:10 a.m. where the fake sun is over this same exact apartment building, where again at 4:36 p.m. today the entity has engineer light that you see stationary. Engineer light is dynamic inside of TRACEE Banks' apartment. This is a supernatural occurrence in the first place, that engineer light, not sunlight, is framing the same front door. And this is the position right above me where the occupant in unit number 55 is stalking with what is amplified noise, not audible activity naturally occurring. It is under all circumstances audible activity coexisting with what is supernatural engineered light, directed light, where monitoring is underway, which is committed by AVANATH Capital Management, who's going to be prosecuted for gang stalking with the City of Ontario, prosecuted for gang stalking with the state of California, while AVANATH is profiting from it. AVANATH is a third party, and it is against public policy that any third party, the people of the state in other words, shall profit from domestic terrorism and psychological torture, which is the combination of engineer light and audible activity, which is intended to also psychologically torture. This is the significance of having engineer light in the manner, the supernatural means that I'm exposing. While inside of this apartment, while unit 55 is a means of stalking in the path, pacing, while third parties like 8, Wendy, Henry, Charlie, 403 are gang stalking, and all the vehicles in the parking lot, those demons are all pacing all around monitoring, like I captured on video at 3:37 p.m. where the fake sun is over the same apartment building like you see in the morning today at 7:10 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. Tracy Banks walking away from the apartment. This is light activity. As she walks away from the apartment, the fake sun doesn't move with her, like is the case with the targeted individual who's being gang stalked under the fake sun. You'll see where it remains, like I documented, after 4 p.m. This is where the fake sun is, and it's currently 7:11 a.m. And that's not sunlight underneath Unit 41's covered patio. Touching surfaces with engineer light, which is what all of this is, while they're all stalking under a fake sun, stalking by residents. All right, this is the significance of the current environment as well that you can see here. It is currently 4:45 p.m. So this is where I'm capturing Tracy Banks walking away at 7:10, and I walk in this direction while the fake sun is on this side, and you see the fake sun keep in stride with me, and this is what I'm doing right now, and you'll see the fake sun keep in stride with me here. AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. AVANATH represents the people of the state who are, via a commercial means, engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. And this is what is documented at 3:37 p.m. where license 8WHC is crossing path, while the people of the state are inside of the one building where the entity is maintaining the sun. This is a supernatural occurrence, and based on this, which cannot be seen in the state of Florida, it cannot be seen in the state of California and Los Angeles. It cannot be seen over Alvarado Gardens, contrary to what I'm documenting at this time of year from the beginning until the end of the day as well. This is speaking to the supernatural character of engineer light that is appearing inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, which happened at 4:36 p.m., which, as I've already documented, a pattern of what is stalking with light, which is designed to psychologically harm, while Avanath's employees and Avanath's residents are gang stalking alike. Pacing is occurring through traffic on Vine Avenue. Relevant positioning is ongoing right now, while the people of the state who are demons in a building where the sun is remaining for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 45. This is 9 hours, 8.5 hours of the sun being over one building, and this is not shared with Florida. So to suggest that the fake sun is shown on video at one apartment, at one property, at one area on one property, above one apartment, is simultaneously stationary for me to capture and also moving in order to be seen in Las Vegas, Nevada, in Texas, in what is Florida, in New York, Boston, etc. That is merely untenable. It's in conformity to the pattern of conduct, however, and this is exactly what the people of our state are doing while they're stalking with amplified noise inside of this apartment building, monitoring me in concert with Tracie Banks, who walked away. Her walking away is her engagement in that pattern of conduct that she remains a part of, while I'm showing you what is the supernatural here. And on the inside of this apartment, Tracie Banks walking away from the apartment. I want to show you this as well. This is where the fake sun is here at 7:10 a.m. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here is the fake sun over the same building. And it remains over me as I'm inside of the same building. And there's no position of the sun that will result in what I've already documented, which is engineer light scanning across the ceiling. And this is while the entity is deliberately targeting. They are targeting with, again, the people of the state over 55, unit 56, unit 52, unit 50, unit 54 are not units 57 through 64 on the backhand of the property of this building, where the sun is remaining for 9 hours over the roof of the building. Is none of them are the explanation for what is engineer light inside of the apartment. The fake sun outside of the apartment, where this is all shade, the window is covered in shade. Pay attention to that. But what you see on the inside is engineer light, concentrated light, magnified in size, coming through the crack in the wall. Even though this is shade on the inside. This is shade not touching any concentrated light. That's the pattern of stalking with light. That's the significance of seeing what is the pattern of the window appearing on the inside. This is the evidence of what exactly I am speaking to, is what happens at 4:36 p.m. and inside of this building, Daryl J. Carter and AVANATH Capital Management, where you have engineer light concentrated on the ceiling. This stationary engineer light is concentrated and it scans across the living room wall as I am inside of the apartment. The apartment building where the sun is sitting over it for what is 9 hours now, upon which Tracie Banks walking away from it, which is not Tracie Banks being captured in evidence, not engaging in the pattern of conduct. She is a part of the same entity that is gang stalking with amplified noise, like the third party 5WB715 is demonstrating while I'm on the couch in the building, which is filled with engineer light above the building for 9 hours, which is the fake sun, and that is a demon acting with impunity as an entity stalking with amplified noise, which is psychological torture. And this is engineer light that is filling the apartment, which is, again, merely concentrated means of engineer light. The entity is engaging with a stalking with light, and that's everything that covers the property. This is not sun, neither is any of this sunlight. And the sun, by the way, just so that you can have proof of it, doesn't sit idle over one building for 9 hours. That's how you know everything that's covered in sunlight. In Los Angeles, where I did capture the sun over me at Alvarado Gardens, for example, at the same time of year, that's not the sun either that would engage in that same behavior of rising and setting over one area. This is the entity that is stalking indeed in that specific environment. This is where I'm showing you things such as two shadows, which you can see here. This is the entity that is indeed engaged in the pattern of conduct. Let me move my head so you can see that. This is impossible light activity. This is why the demon in unit number 55 is the means of what is demonic. It's as demonic as this light activity, and this is the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct with impunity. AVANATH Capital Management is going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring as it is being exposed. Unit 55, license 5WB715, is a third party who was gang stalking by residents, but this thick-necked, masculine-built female is not the natural explanation. She is not the cause of what is the noise that sounds reminiscent of the walls and the ceilings cracking. She is a demon-possessed gang stalker, however, and she is living in the building where the sun sun is remaining in relevant position, and her role is to remain in place in the apartment building, stalking in the path where this demon that is stalking by residents with the government is maintaining position, while amplified noise centers on where it is that I'm located and what I do on my communication devices. This is where the entity is maintaining a sun over the property, specifically inside of the building where I'm at, as I documented yesterday, which is May 9th, 2025. Today, capturing the sun at what is 7:10 a.m. and during this video, which is 4:51 p.m., this is speaking to that P.O.C. where the entity is maintaining an environment where AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted in concert with its employees, the City of Ontario, its occupants, and the population, including third party 8 Wendy Henry Charlie 403, who was on camera in this environment for the deliberate purpose of engaging in the elements of monitoring, just like they did yesterday afternoon, pacing all around inside of the parking lot in order to monitor the person that is documenting. So let me remind you about what the demon possessed were doing on camera. Never mind that no one drives in the parking lot right now because of the documentation and the short-sightedness, the short forgetfulness rather of the people of the state, because this is what they were doing at 3:37, and the pattern of conduct doesn't cease to exist because the demons don't drive in the parking lot stalking with engineered light. They engage in the same pattern of conduct, and they're doing that right now inside of the buildings, crossing a path on Vine Avenue and G Street, crossing a path in the sky space via aircraft, crossing a path. Light activity is accomplished even as I walk around on the sidewalk. What the demons are doing on video yesterday at 3:37 in the afternoon is an hyperbolic means of stalking in the path while the demons are manifesting based on hostility. That's what this is about down here. Walks away. It is not the same experience of the target individual, showing who Tracee Banks is actually stalking by even including walking away. The fake sun progresses, as my documentation shows, as I progress in the parking lot, like I've documented at all hours. 8WHC403 is gang stalking. The video that I just captured moments ago is showing what is activity creation while the demon is in the living room, license 5WB715, and beating on the floor while the demon is in the park. By the way, the third party is engaging in that same pattern while I'm capturing video, and you're witnessing the supernatural. The sun is over the building, and a pattern of stalking with amplified noise is the significance. That's the pattern of conduct underway while the demon in Unit 55 is engaging in that pattern of audible activity creation, even in the midst of the creation of documentation evidence to prosecute them for what is the insurmountable evidence of gang stalking as an apartment complex, as a city with the government, in an environment that defies nature amongst engineered light, not sunlight. Creating light activity in relevant position. They're monitoring together while the fake sun moves as I move. When Tracee Banks walks in this direction, the fake sun remains stationary. That is not what this is. Amplified train is Tracee Banks monitoring while a demon is crossing path. That's a Latino male who's stalking someone else. Mental illness is exhibited in their pattern of conduct. Crossing path under the fake sun that's over the same parking lot, and the fake sun remains over the building as I do not walk in the parking lot. That's why you're looking at it at what is 4:45 while I'm capturing this video, and it's not in the parking lot. It's not moving as 8 Wendy Henry Charlie 403 moves. It's not moving as Tracee Banks, operating license 9HUZ740, is driving away in the parking lot. It remains stationary over the building that I remain inside of, which is what I documented, which is what I continuously document, and which is the pattern of conduct of stalking in an environment which is supernatural. The fake sun remains over the building that I remain inside of. This is not the shared experience of any of the demons that live in this building walking away and going to their vehicles. The fake sun remains over me inside of this building while any of the occupants walk away and drive away from the venue because they are gang stalking me. They are also doing so with what is inside of the building, which is engineered light. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with the intent to psychologically harm. And I'm going to go ahead and remind you about what engineered light inside of Tracee Banks' apartment looks like. Okay, the following is documented inside of Tracee Banks' apartment. This is the light activity that I'm subject to. This is happening on the kitchen cabinets. The light activity that is occurring today at approximately 4:36 p.m. is light activity that's appearing steps away. So let me show you again where it's happening. Right here on the ceiling while I'm on the couch, where again the demon above in Unit 55 is in position directly above me, which is where the amplified audible activity of the sound of the ceiling cracking and the walls cracking. The position where I'm at is relevant to that noise. That's called stalking with audible activity. It's demonic, it's terrorism, it's psychological torture. And engineer light is scanning across the ceiling where it right here. This is engineer light across the ceiling as well. This is evidence proving what it is that I'm alleging, which I've already proven in a pattern of conduct. The following video is evidence also of what is happening inside of Tracee Banks' apartment at 4:36 p.m., which is why I got up to show you the environment where I am being gang stalked by AVANATH Capital Management, its employees, its residents, by whom and in concert with whom they're engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring with the government. AVANATH is a third party whose pockets are going to be drained pursuant to what is a criminal system where they are profiting from it, and they're also doing so with impunity, pursuant to the surveillance that the government is engaging in and is still targeting with a vicarious arm, which is AVANATH Capital Management. This is the engineered light that's occurring inside of TRACEE Banks' apartment in the building where the sun is over for 9 hours.
Alright, here is more evidence that's serving to prosecute the people of the state, third-party AVANATH Capital Management. So this is engineered light that's appearing at a tremendous distance from the covered patio. Okay, and the fake sun is outside above the same apartment building where I'm located. And so as you can, well, you can't see, here's my hand. The light is shooting across horizontally and it's creating shadow inside of my shadow is appearing inside, and it's a magnified size of my hand. This is speaking to criminal surveillance that's happening at what is not a private residential area or property. It's a facilitating venue for surveillance. And this is also documentation of what is malice and impunity by a corrupt company, including RGS, that comes onto the ground gang stalking with the company, the employees, the residents, and the city of Ontario, the population itself that's coming onto the grounds gang stalking as one entity. And the fact that I'm capturing ongoing iterations of impossible light activity, the more that I document, yeah, that's P.O.C. I've documented this before. This is the conduct of the demon possessed. Okay? That's the conduct of the demon possessed. This is going on the internet. That's speaking to stalkers.
The light source that has nothing to do with that.
That's RGS, Federal Stalking Title 18. It's called Stalking in the Path. And they're not ignorant about the
That's called stalking in the path, meaning that's not coincidentally locking your door as I open. It's with and that knowledge and that prosecution, which is inevitable, is pursuant to the light that I just captured inside of the apartment, which is supernatural. You don't have a coincidence. You don't have that happening in a universe, in a vacuum, within the universe, just as an anomaly. It's a documented pattern of conduct occurring outside of Woodside Senior Apartments as well, and it is something that is not just the experience of a target individual who has no recourse with regard to being terrorized and targeted by an entity. The entity will be prosecuted. This is the people of the state accessing unit number 49, who is also going to federal prison for stalking with light and stalking in the path. And that's what's happening with regard to surrounding me in a psychopathic manner, as conveniently as what is locking your door while a fake sun remains over the building. And this is what I'm documenting as I open the front door.
They're engaged unity. All right, RGS employees subject to federal prison, and
So this is what
this is the fake sun that's outside. Has nothing to do with the engineer light that you just saw inside and dynamic engineer light. Lynda Reyes is going to prison. That's what this evidence is also showing you. She's going to prison. And
that's the fake sun that's on the, by the way, the ongoing evolution of the environment, while I documented, is also part of educating the public as you're witnessing a prosecution of a corrupt government, because the fake sun at what is now it's 5 p.m. and the fake sun is remaining over the same building, but you have what is, again, in February, the entity had the fake sun over the opposite building, over the same two buildings. They're going to prison and mental asylums, but the entity is engaging in what is hopscotch with regard to the fake sun being over this building and being over this building. It is nonetheless over me, over the very specific strip of sidewalk where the entity is maintaining that light source, which is equally impossible to be the natural environment. The entity is engaging in what is engaging in the pattern of conduct of stalking under the fake sun, which has nothing to do, as you can see, the engineer light inside of TRACEE Banks' apartment is a distinct method of identifying inevitable defendants and closeted psychopaths who are over 55, by the way, who are also reliant on government programs in order to pay their rent, and who are at a HUD regulated property, are not legally supposed to be engaged in what is traditional stalking, regardless of receiving government benefits, but also are stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act, 34 USC section 12291, where they are also engaging in, like I documented on this video, it's technical abuse, not just a noisy neighbor. It's audible activity and psychological torture that's documented as a pattern in amongst this engineered light, which is also technical abuse, which is documented with regard to a pattern, as I am subject to surveillance on the venue of the internet at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the sun remains over this building for over 9 hours on a daily basis, where they are going to be prosecuted for that. And license 5 Wendy Henry Charlie 403 is speaking to what the population is sharing in a criminal pattern of conduct that is designed to maintain surveillance in a manner that is psychologically harmful. As you can see, the entity engaging in this pattern of conduct, as I captured on video yesterday, at what is 3:37 p.m. and the entity is pacing in the parking lot. By pacing, the vehicles driving in and out are stalking in the path. The demons of unit number 41 at what is 3:37 p.m. are intentionally monitoring me, which is accomplished by walking in that engineer light, doing so with their minor children. They are doing so as I'm documenting the fake sun over the same property, while license F50FIVE crosses path and engineer light swipes across the brick wall, while children are used as a means of terrorism and psychological torture. The elderly, the demon license 9ZCZ079, gang stalking by living in an environment where the fake sun is a means of what is gang stalking by the government that's acting in concert with the civilian population in an environment. This is demonic pacing. That's license F50FIVE, gang stalking me while he uses his vehicle. Engineer light moves all across that brick wall underneath the carport while a psychopath targets you while not looking at you nor addressing you. Neither do they have to, while you have the proof of them targeting you under a 9-hour remaining sun over the building, which everything happening in that environment is designed to target one specific person, the person over whom that sun is remaining. And there's also no question with regard to my status as opposed to every other demon-possessed gang stalker inside of this building and in units 33 through 64, because this is what the entity is doing under a fake sun in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. This is where the demons are pacing in the parking lot in video, as you can see here.
Is gang stalking with the government. This is P.O.C. This is demonic pacing, and while they drive, also engineer light drags across the walls and on the ground. They're demons that are pacing together. This is P.O.C. And this is a sex offense. They're all monitoring my vagina as a community as well, as I am physically indisposed in the restroom, which is also public information, under an environment where the fake sun sits idle all day long. And the City of Ontario participating in the elements of monitoring speaks to the sex offender. That is Paul Leon, that is Mike Lorenz, that is Michael Gherkin, all right, that is Alan D. Wapner. These are public officials that are engaged in the pattern of conduct. That's a
that amplified audible activity coexists with my identifying public officials who are going to be dealt with regard to the prosecution of the City of Ontario, the State of California, the people of the state that are gang stalking, while the fake sun reflects off of a rear windshield. The rear windshield is facing the direction where the fake sun was rising this morning at 7:10 a.m. This is an impossible occurrence. It's speaking to the malice of the demon that is operating that vehicle, who was stalking me, at the same time not addressing me, having no personal relationship with me. This is the purpose of gang stalking with a population that has no personal relationship, stalking by strangers, which is proven in an environment that defies nature, by the way. And the amplified audible activity with simultaneity to what the demons who are actually stalking on video, because this is the evidence of stalking, not the evidence of minding your business under the fake sun that's over the building for 9 hours. And this is also malice and impunity, as you witness them stalking in a manner where they are wearing a mask such that as a stranger can openly engage in what is gang stalking an American citizen, despite the fact that they're documenting it. This is why Daryl J. Carter and Avanath Capital Management is going to be prosecuted. Its property is a facilitating venue where the sun is sitting idle all day long, in an apartment where I'm showing you what is supernatural light and supernatural audible activity, which is designed to psychologically harm, while the demon possessed retaliate in the manner that I'm documenting now at 5:05 p.m. While I'm documenting that, this demon, license 5WB715, is stomping and dropping bowling balls. That's the audible activity that she routinely engages in while she is stalking in the path as a resident, and her mental illness is exhibited by that. Okay, this demon that's over 55, she is speaking to a very highly demented state, and she's going to be treated for that, and her co-defendants are going to prison and mental asylums with her. Remember, her co-defendants include those that are named among what is LYNDA Reyes, who was gang stalking under the fake sun that is captured in the morning, where the Ontario Police Department are engaging in that pattern of conduct with her. So let's recall what the Ontario PD is doing with mental health patients like the demon in Unit 55 who's stalking with audible noise.
This is pacing. Ontario PD.
Just like they're doing at 337 in vehicles, and engineer light dragging across the walls, and while you're walking in it, driving in it, making loud noises in it, you're monitoring specifically where I'm at, where that fake sun is showing who is being targeted, and psychopaths do so while they don't have to address you, and their malice is shown through the sun sitting over the same building for 9 hours. And engineer light sweeping inside of the apartment, which has nothing to do with that idle sun, a distinct method of identifying malice, and the entity is monitoring me.
Flying in helicopter, and LYNDA Reyes is gang stalking with its passive-aggressive demon. It's an act of retaliation.
That's crossing path as I open the front door. This is a fake sun that's over the same building. This
Sun
is at what is
that's not going
8:49
anywhere. It has nothing to
a.m.
do.
Lynda Reyes is gang stalking in the path inside of this clubhouse. And as I document her at 8:44, 8:45, pursuant to a criminal act of retaliation, just like the demon in Unit 55 is doing while I'm documenting now, reminding you about what pacing, a bunch of stalkers under an idle fake sun for 9 hours, all they're doing is stalking in the manner that monitoring is accomplishing. The fake sun and presence in engineered light, they're all monitoring on video, and they're doing so while they are also aware, the person that they're monitoring, they're also aware that I'm documenting it. And the demon possessed engaged in this malicious iteration of the pattern of conduct in what is a wealth of documentation, speaking to the malice and the psychopathic obsession of the demon possessed, who sought to maintain what is shelter, a mask, by gang stalking as strangers. And that is no disguise. It's an open admission to gang stalking with the city of Ontario, who is gang stalking in helicopter under the fake sun. Remember, that's over this apartment building right now at 5:07 p.m. This is what the city of Ontario is engaging in.
Lynda Reyes, like the podcast documents, is gang stalking, and she's going to federal prison for engaging in.
One second, I want you to see that in concert with the documentation which you saw this morning.
And a very well documented pattern of retaliatory conduct when you document the domestic terrorists. That's P.O.C. This is what LAPD is doing under the fake sun in Los Angeles et al. This is exactly what LAPD is doing. The Ontario Police and the Los Angeles Police Department gang stalking with Reyes. Lynda Reyes is going to federal prison. She's the third party that's inspiring the terrorism by helicopter at this moment, based on the 8:44 a.m. documentation of that sex offender monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, just like she's monitoring my physical movements inside of the apartment. And seconds later, the Ontario Police, who are gang stalking via Lynda Reyes, arrive to participate in the elements of monitoring to threaten my life. She's going to federal prison. All right, and she is doing so with the LAPD as well. Remember the superficial distinction amongst cities where the sun's not going to be over Alvarado Gardens, not going to be over my front door, contrary to what I document as I walk from my apartment at building 1806 to the office at 1810, where the Ontario Police.
Stalking with amplified noise again at 5:09 p.m. This is monitoring evidence against the stalker, and it's also psychological harm, psychological torture while the stalker is being documented, and the defendants inside of this building that the fake sun is sitting over are going to prison and mental asylums for it.
Police are flying next to the fake sun in the same way that they're doing at 3:01 p.m. on what is April 8, 2025. They're stalking like the LAPD is, and they're doing so with what is Lynda Reyes. P.O.C. AVANATH Capital Management, Daryl J. Carter. Lynda Reyes is going to and this is demonic pacing in what is engineer light under an idle fake sun that's right here at 5 p.m. like you see TRACEE.
Just like you see here, like I'm capturing after 3:37 p.m. This is 4:47, and this is where the fake sun remains, where everybody inside of this building is gang stalking. While amplified audible activity that is criminal interference with quiet enjoyment is built into the pattern of conduct, where the people of the state are life-size, upright cockroaches pacing all around in engineered light in a manner that's not supposed to be readily identifiable with the human eye. It is existing in plain view, in plain sight. License 8, Wendy Henry Charlie 403 is engaging in that pattern of conduct in concert with the population that paced in this parking lot at 3:37 in the afternoon amongst what is engineer light that remains inside of this apartment. Engineer light, audible activity, and presence is how you're accomplishing gang stalking, and it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt at Woodside Senior Apartments and AVANATH Capital Management that's gang stalking with the city of Ontario is going to be prosecuted for it, and its impunity with regard to the people of the state and the deep pockets of AVANATH Capital Management is shared with the government that flew over me, stalking me, terrorizing me, where the fake sun proves who they are stalking and who they are targeting and monitoring, and engaging in retaliatory acts committed while I'm documenting the Lynda Reyes, who was stalking under a fake sun where she lives, where she works. That's malice and facilitation. You go to prison for that. And that's the significance of her co-defendants lacking in any self-control, repeatedly engaging in the pattern of conduct while they're documented in a manner where the fake sun that's idle over the building is separate and distinct from the light activity that's covering everything. This is breaking down that illusion because none of it is sunlight. In the same way that you see my two shadows standing adjacent to each other on the living room wall, it has nothing to do with the fake sun that's over the building for 9 hours. This is the poor setting where demons are doing nothing other than pacing all around, including on the inside of the building. While they're inside and I'm walking outside, the elements of monitoring are accomplished, and they are maliciously engaging in that POC. When you see them driving all around, flying all around, and stalking with amplified noise, like I documented on video yesterday afternoon, that's when the demons are engaging in what is a very highly psychopathic iteration and aggressive form of the same pattern of conduct. The demons could do so without criminal interference of quiet enjoyment. They could do so without multiple shadows. They could do so without engineered light flying in the air. They do so with the intent to psychologically torture. Who is the federal prosecutor? This is, again, AVANATH Capital Management's very foolish and imprudent engagement in gang stalking me in particular. But this is what the state of California routinely engages in, and there's no other way for demons who are monitoring to engage in monitoring, because this is how monitoring is accomplished. And that supernatural feature of that pattern of conduct is why AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is going to be prosecuted along with its co-defendants that include the people of the state. The people of the state that are inside of this building who are gang stalking, inside of the two adjacent buildings that are acting pursuant to a long documented pattern of conduct, and who are acting with impunity as I document them stalking as a community in that specific environment in concert with the city of Ontario, engaging in the documented acts of retaliation which are designed to terrorize, harass, psychologically torture, and sexually traumatize, while they are also engaging in voyeurism, monitoring and stalking and surveilling the person whom they are targeting. And their targeting conduct is nothing that is requiring any inquiry. Their targeting is proven by the maintenance of that specific environment, that supernatural environment where the sun, for example, sits over the same apartment building for 9 hours, where there are also violent sex offenders engaging in monitoring in the bathroom, which is documenting sex offenders who are also identified as it is underway in the city, which the mayor is also part of. That's why the police are gang stalking at that apartment where that fake sun is over me, and they are in relevant position creating audible activity which is amplified inside of the apartment, which is what I documented on video. This is the people of the state who are going to be prosecuted, and it includes AVANATH Capital Management that is gang stalking with the people of, with the city of Ontario, the state of California. All right, I want to be clear. Tracy Banks is engaging in what is that pattern of conduct. Tracy Banks is very much engaged in what is the pattern of conduct. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me inside of her apartment as she walks away from it, not sharing the status as a targeted individual, engaging what is gang stalking me, targeting me with the government since I was a child. She is now being prosecuted, engaging in the satanic pattern of conduct, targeting in a manner that's supposed to psychologically torture and result in what is criminal defamation. And her mental illness is being exhibited while she is targeting with her co-defendants who are exhibiting severe mental illness while they stalk with amplified noise and stalk with impossible light activity, which is what is happening inside of her apartment, like I exemplified at 4:36 p.m. while the entity is keeping me under surveillance inside of the apartment, which is proven while the sun is sitting over the same apartment building for over 9 hours. And Tracy Banks' mental illness and her malice is exhibited. It also needs to be known that the entity is engaging in what is practicing witchcraft. They are both spiritually attacking while they are sharing the criminal engagement in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, stalking with light, stalking with noise, and stalking in the path. And stalking is identified through what is monitoring, which is occurring in the specific environment. And this is the prosecution of Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, and she is going to a mental asylum like her co-defendant in unit number 55, who is gang stalking with her while she's inside and while she's outside of the apartment. Tracy Banks is engaging in this, and this is also the embarrassment for being exposed for practicing witchcraft, and she's being prosecuted, and she's going to spend the rest of her life in a mental asylum. And her co-defendants in unit 41, her co-defendants in unit 55 are going to be subject to a mental asylum as well. Everyone else in units 33 through 64, they are going to federal prison. The entire property, which AVANATH Capital Management is going to be prosecuted as a company, as a third party, but the residents at Woodside, all 144 units are being prosecuted along with Tracy Banks, who was gang stalking me with impunity and malice, engaging in the pattern of conduct under an idle fake sun, engaging in the pattern of conduct with impossible light activity, engaging in the pattern of conduct with what is amplified audible noise, is that which is designed to terrorize and psychologically harm in order to accomplish what was supposed to be mental illness exhibited by myself, were I not able to prove the fact that the government is targeting through a demon-possessed population in a demonic pattern of conduct. And it's going to result in what is the prosecution of the demon-possessed third party Tracy Banks and all of her demon-possessed co-defendants, whose faces you can see and whose license plate have been documented, whose addresses and identification is not a mystery, and they will be prosecuted in federal court. It is currently 5:16 p.m. The demon in unit 55 has been monitoring this evidence and is doing so in real time. 5:15 p.m. and right now at 5:16 p.m. ongoing amplified noise while the evidence is being kept under surveillance. The stalker that is engaging in what is keeping the evidence against itself under surveillance while it is acting with the government is going to be prosecuted for that as well. It's relevant to time in federal prison. It's relevant to what is an inevitable placement in mental asylums. It is currently again 5:17 p.m. and this is P.O.C.